In this video, we are going to look at the difference between to or then. Sometimes, people find it challenging or confusing to whether use to or then in a context. So understanding the meaning that to or then brings in a context is going to be helpful. So let's look at that through some example sentences and learn the difference between to or then. So to brings in the meaning of as compared with, right? It's usually used to express comparison or proportion. So I could say his skill is superior to mine, or he is junior to me. Okay, so in these two example sentences we see compared, his skill is superior, so compared with my skill, his skill is superior. He is junior to me, so comparing me, comparing with me, he is junior, right? So it brings in the meaning of as compared with. It is used to express comparison or proportion. Now then, on the other hand, right, is used after a comparative adjective or adverb to introduce the second element of a clause of unequal comparison. Now what do I mean by that? Let's look at an example. He runs faster than me. So he is a better athlete than I. So in this context, he runs faster than me, right? So that's the adjective right there. It's a comparative adjective, right? He runs faster than me. I'm using then right after that. And then in the second sequence also you see, so he is a better athlete than I, right? Again used after a comparative adjective. So then is used after a comparative adjective or adverb to introduce the second element of a clause of unequal comparison. So keep this in mind. Now let's go back and look at our first example and see should it be to or should it be then. Alright, so in our example 1, though senior in age, his father is junior than my father in service. There you go. So you have your answer right there, right? We just saw the difference between to and then. So though senior in age, his father is junior than my father in service. In that example sentence, if you see, there is comparison happening as compared with my father. His father is junior to my father in service, right? So the error is in part 2. We go ahead and change then to. Let's do that. Right? Though senior in age, his father is junior to my father in service. Let's move on to our next example. Sujata was junior to me in college, and the options are junior then, junior most to, junior off, and of course no improvement. So let's understand this. Sujata was junior of me in college? No. Sujata was junior most to me in college? Incorrect. Sujata was junior than me in college? We just saw the difference between to and then. In this context, the meaning that is conveyed is as compared with, right? Which means junior to is correct as it is, and in this particular example, our option would be option D, no improvement. It follows and meets the rule of to, bringing in the meaning that is required in this context, and we do not have to make any change. Alright, so let's move on to our third example. He draws quite differently to she does. This is an easy one, right? When we're reading it itself, it sounds odd or awkward and it sounds funny. If you look at the options that we have 1, 2, and 3. He said, and it gives us an adverb. Remember, I said then is used after a comparative adjective or adverb, right? To introduce the second element of a clause of unequal comparison. So the comparison is between he and she, right? So they're comparing their drawings. So he draws quite differently than she does. Let's make that change. So the error is in part 3 and we've changed to then. So he draws quite differently than she does. Our clue word being the comparative adverb in this particular example.
So I'm sure now, after going through these example sentences, you not only know the meaning that to or then brings in a context, you're able to easily identify when to use what. Keep practicing. Let's move to our next component in finding errors.